You know that feeling when you're lying in bed at 2 a.m., replaying a conversation from 3 weeks ago, editing what you should have said, creating 17 different scenarios of how it could have gone better? Or when you're staring at your phone, crafting the perfect text message, deleting and retyping the same sentence 12 times, because what if they misunderstand your tone? Here's what nobody tells you: you're not analyzing your life, you're avoiding it. Every minute you spend lost in your head is a minute you're not actually living. And the cruel irony: the more you think about your problems, the bigger they become. This isn't another video telling you to just think positive. This is about something way more powerful. I'm going to show you why overthinking is literally stealing your life from you, and more importantly, the one method that stops it cold. Because once you understand what's really happening in your brain when you overthink, you'll never want to go back to that mental prison again. Let me paint you a picture of what overthinking actually looks like. You wake up, and before your feet hit the floor, your brain is already running scenarios for the day. What if the meeting goes wrong? What if they don't like your presentation? What if you say something stupid? You're not even dressed yet, and you're already exhausted. Then, you get to work, and instead of focusing on what you're doing, you're mentally rehearsing conversations that might never happen. You're solving problems that don't exist yet. You're preparing for disasters that live only in your imagination. And here's the kicker: while you're busy living in your head, real life is happening without you. Opportunities pass by because you were too busy calculating the risks. Relationships suffer because you're more connected to your thoughts about the person than the actual person sitting right there. Most people think overthinking means they're being thorough, responsible, intelligent. But here's what overthinking really is. It's your brain stuck in a loop, like a record with a scratch, playing the same 3 seconds over and over and over. You're not solving anything. You're not preparing for anything. You're trapped in what I call analysis paralysis, where thinking has become a substitute for living. Here's something that will blow your mind. Your brain cannot tell the difference between something you're intensely thinking about and something that's actually happening. When you replay that embarrassing moment from high school, your nervous system responds as if it's happening right now. When you imagine worst-case scenarios about tomorrow's presentation, your body floods with stress hormones as if you're already standing there failing. This is why overthinkers are exhausted all the time. You're not just living your life once, you're living it dozens of times in your head, experiencing every possible version of every possible outcome. But here's where it gets really dark. Overthinking doesn't just steal your present moment, it programs your future. See, when you constantly rehearse failure, rejection, embarrassment in your mind, you're literally training your brain to expect and create those outcomes. You become so familiar with the feeling of things going wrong that when they actually start going right, it feels foreign, uncomfortable, like something you don't deserve. This is why some people seem to attract drama, chaos, problems wherever they go. It's not that the universe is against them, it's that they've spent so much time mentally living in problems that problems have become their comfort zone. Your thoughts aren't just random mental chatter, they're the blueprint your subconscious uses to construct your reality. Let me tell you about Sarah. Sarah was brilliant, valedictorian, full scholarship, dream job at 25. But Sarah had one problem: she thought about everything. Every decision required weeks of analysis. Every conversation got replayed for hours. Every small mistake got magnified into a catastrophe in her mind. On paper, Sarah's life looked perfect. In reality, she was miserable. She was so busy thinking about living that she forgot how to actually live. Her relationships felt hollow because she was never fully present. Her achievements felt empty because she immediately started worrying about the next challenge. Sarah represents millions of people walking around in a mental fog, physically present but emotionally and spiritually somewhere else entirely. Here's what I realized working with people like Sarah. Overthinking isn't a thinking problem, it's a feeling problem. People don't overthink because they love analyzing. They overthink because they're trying to think their way out of feeling uncertain, vulnerable, or out of control. But here's the truth that nobody wants to hear. You can't think your way into confidence. You can't analyze your way into peace. You can't mentally prepare your way into a life worth living. The very act of trying to control everything through thought is what keeps you feeling out of control. So here's the method that changes everything. I call it the 3-second reset, and it's stupidly simple, which is exactly why it works. When you catch yourself spiraling into overthinking, you do this. Second 1, notice. Just notice that you're thinking in circles. Don't judge it, don't try to stop it, just recognize it. Oh, I'm doing that thing again. Second 2, breathe. 1 deep breath. Not meditation, not a breathing exercise. Just 1 intentional breath that brings you back into your body. Second 3, choose. Ask yourself one question. What would I do right now if I trusted myself completely? That's it. 3 seconds. Notice, breathe, choose. Here's why this works when everything else fails. Overthinking happens when you're living in future problems or past mistakes. The 3-second reset snaps you back to the only moment where you actually have power, right now. But here's the crucial part most people miss. You don't use this method to stop thinking forever. You use it to interrupt the loop, to create a gap between the thought and your automatic reaction to that thought. In that gap, something magical happens. Your natural intelligence kicks in, the intelligence that doesn't need to overthink because it already knows. The intelligence that makes great decisions quickly, that speaks authentically, that acts with confidence not because it has all the answers, but because it trusts itself to figure it out as it goes. I want you to imagine something. Imagine waking up tomorrow and instead of your mind immediately jumping to your to-do list, your worries, your plans, you actually felt calm, present, like you belonged in your own life. Imagine walking into a room and instead of analyzing everyone's facial expressions, wondering what they think of you, calculating what to say next, you just showed up, fully, as yourself. Imagine making decisions quickly, not because you're impulsive, but because you've learned to trust the wisdom that doesn't need to think everything to death. This isn't fantasy. This is what happens when you stop living in your head and start living in your life. People who've mastered this don't seem superhuman. They seem free. They're not smarter than everyone else. They're not more talented. They're just not carrying the weight of 1,000 imaginary problems wherever they go. They speak with conviction because they're not second-guessing every word. They take action because they're not paralyzed by infinite possibilities. They enjoy the moment because they're actually in it. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. If you've been overthinking for years, your brain is going to resist this method at first. It's going to tell you that you need to think more, not less, that this is irresponsible, that something terrible will happen if you're not constantly vigilant. That's just your brain doing what it's been trained to do. Don't fight it, just notice it, and use the 3-second reset again. Start small. Use it when you're overthinking what to wear. Use it when you're crafting a text message. Use it when you catch yourself replaying a conversation. These little moments are where you build the muscle of trusting yourself instead of thinking yourself to death. And here's what's going to surprise you. As you stop overthinking the small stuff, you'll naturally stop overthinking the big stuff too. Because you'll remember what it feels like to trust your own judgment. You'll remember that you're actually pretty good at this life thing when you're not constantly second-guessing yourself. The goal isn't to never think. The goal is to think when it's useful and live when it's time to live. Look, I could keep talking for another hour about the science behind this, the psychology, the philosophy, but you know what? That would just be giving your overthinking brain more material to chew on. Instead, I want you to try the 3-second reset right now. Think of something you've been overthinking lately, now. Notice you're thinking about it. Take one deep breath. Ask yourself, what would I do if I trusted myself completely? Whatever answer comes up first, before your brain starts analyzing it to death, that's your move. If this video hit you differently than most, if you felt something shift while watching it, do me a favor. Comment, I choose to trust myself below. Not for me, but for you. Sometimes we need to declare our intentions out loud to make them real. And if you know someone who's been thinking themselves in circles, who needs to hear this message, share this video with them. Not everyone is ready to stop overthinking, but for those who are, this could be the permission they've been waiting for. Here's the truth I want to leave you with. Your life is not a problem to be solved. It's an experience to be lived. It's happening right now, while you're watching this video, while you're breathing, while you're being exactly who you are in this moment. Stop thinking your life away. It's too short, too precious, too beautiful to spend it trapped in your own head. Your real life is waiting for you outside of your thoughts, and it's been waiting long enough. Till next time, stop overthinking and start living. You've got this.